Hey, Computer Studies 10. Hey, we're gonna finally make our character jump. Well, at least we're gonna focus on the movement sprite's jump. That's pretty complicated onto itself. We'll also have to make an uninterruptible action for our costume sprite to make it do its jumping animation. But for now, what I'd like to do is just focus on the actual mechanics of making the movement sprite go up and down. And in order to do that, you're gonna have to make a variable. It's going to be called, well, you can call it whatever you want, to be honest. Mine's called jump velocity. It's the velocity of the speed of its jump. And we're going to accelerate and decelerate this. So jump velocity is a variable for this sprite only. The reason is because, who knows, maybe you want to have more than one thing jump eventually in a project. So that might be helpful. So here we go. We're gonna make that happen. The heart of this is a simple, I don't know if simple's right word, but a small script that is going to just control the y coordinate of our sprite and change it according to the jump velocity. So I'm gonna get a jump velocity block. I'm gonna get a change y block, and I'm going to put that in a forever loop, and it's just going to forever be obeying this here. So here we go. So I've turned on the script, and you can see not much is happening. The reason is because jump velocity is 0, so we're changing y by 0. But if you don't mind, I'm just going to quickly demonstrate how this will work. I'm going to use a set jump velocity to 1. I'm just going to double click on it to activate it. You'll see the sprite starts moving up. If I set it to -1, you can see that the sprite starts moving down. And if I set it to 0, then it stops moving altogether. So that's how I'm going to control the movement. That's the secret to my whole project here, for the jumping anyways. So that's great. So when I jump, what I want to do is I want to set jump velocity to a reasonably large positive number. And then if I'm in the air, I want to decelerate it. I want to pull myself back to the earth. So there's sort of two different situations there. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. I'm going to add in an up arrow for the jump. You can use whatever keys you want. And I'm just going to set the jump velocity to some number. I'll choose 10. I don't really remember what a good number is for this. And then what I want to do is every time I am in the air, I want to make it so that I am decelerating. So that means slowing that down, decreasing jump velocity. So what I can do is I'm just going to put it in here, I think. I'm going to say if I'm above the ground. So if my y position is greater than whatever number I decide is my ground level. So I think for right now I'm going to do -117. So if my y position is greater than -117, what I'll do is I will reduce my jump velocity. So I will change jump velocity by, let's start with -1. Okay, I'm just going to stick that in this forever loop here. So I got a little bit of stuff now. I got my up arrow. It's going to set the value. And then if I go above this y position, I am going to, get decelerating. So here's what it looks like. I'll jump. I'm going to fall to the ground. But you see I have a nice hop? It's very Flappy Bird-esque, isn't it? So he doesn't land on the ground yet. But that's pretty cool. I think it looks pretty good. It looks realistic, right? And I can combine that with my left and right movement. So, we've invented Flappy Bird is basically the story. So, okay, so that's good. Let's make it land on the ground now. This is just another if statement. So basically, if it's greater than -117, I'm going to slow it down. What if it goes below? So if it's less than -117, if it's less than -117, then I am going to say, hey, guess what? We're done jumping. We landed on the ground. So I'm going to set jump velocity to 0. Oh, that's pretty nice. If you set it to like 10 or something, you get a bouncy castle, which is pretty exciting. It's just bouncing all the time. Just perma bouncing. You could set it to like 1, and oh, actually, it just kind of wiggle woggles. But I want to set it to 0. And actually, it's not quite done. I also want to, if it goes below, I also want to set um, set y to like that ground floor. Negative 117 is the number I chose. So that's how I land. So that's the story here. So now if I jump, boop, I land just fine, and I can kind of move around and jump in the air, and it looks pretty good. I guess one last thing is I can double jump, and so that's easy to do. I can just make it so that I only jump, the up arrow only works if also I'm on the ground, which is to say my y coordinate equals negative 117. So that's a pretty good combination of scripts here. So y position equals negative 117. So now if I try to jump, I can't jump in the air anymore. I've locked it in. So here's the important parts again. I'll just zoom in, I think. Oh no, there we go. So in my movement sprite, I've added to my moving code an up arrow so that I can jump, and then I control jump velocity, which ultimately is what controls my jumping. If I change this number to a larger number, I'd jump higher, and that would be fun. I make sure that I can only do it when I'm on the ground, which is defined by a particular y coordinate. Down here is my sort of controlling the gravity code. So this change y is the big one. It really is the driver behind gravity working. It's what makes jump velocity actually move the character. And then I have this first if statement here. That's what happens if I go up in the air and I am like, jumping up, I want to bring the person back down. So this is sort of the force of gravity. If I increase or decrease this number, I will make stronger or weaker gravity. You could try negative 0.5 for more floating. You could try negative 2 for like harder jump. You can adjust things a lot. Last but not least, here's my landing script, the bottom if. That's what controls my landing. It just makes me land on the ground, and it sets my jump velocity to 0, so I stop moving, and it just resets my y coordinate. So that's the story. So there you go. We got some lovely jumping going on for you. You'll notice if I put the costume back on that the jumping isn't really connected to the character. Like, he's just idling in the air, which is kind of cool, I guess. But no, not really. It's kind of dumb. I think I would like to make it so that that we actually use some of these lovely jump costumes that we have, in our sprite. So in our next video, we'll take a look at how we can control that. It's going to be a non-interruptible action with a few new details. All right, thanks so much, everybody, for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you soon. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask.